The Vale of Glamorgan is known for castles, coastline, and countryside. After dark, older stories surface. Tonight, we explore 7 haunted places where history lingers, and the past may still remain on. St. Donat's Castle. Perched dramatically above the Bristol Channel, St. Donat's Castle commands both sea and sky. Its towers rise from the cliffs with a confidence earned over centuries, yet for all its strength, the castle has long been associated with omens, apparitions, and unsettling signs that appear when misfortune draws near. The Stradling family, who built and occupied the castle for generations, believed firmly that St. Donat's possessed a kind of warning system. According to tradition, whenever disaster was about to befall the family, the spectre of Lady Stradling would appear. Her presence was not violent nor theatrical. She was seen quietly, almost respectfully, as though fulfilling a duty rather than seeking attention. Other manifestations linked to the castle are stranger still. One of the most unsettling is the appearance of a ghostly panther, said to move silently through the grounds or along the walls. The animal is described as solid and purposeful, yet entirely soundless, its presence often noticed only once it has already passed. Equally disturbing is the report of a disembodied eye seen staring from dark corners or shadowed passages. It does not blink, and it does not move, yet those who encounter it describe an immediate and instinctive fear as though they have been singled out for attention. Perhaps the most vivid figure associated with St. Donat's is known as Matilda of the Night. Legend tells of a noblewoman who declared that she would rather not enter heaven if she could not hunt there. According to local belief, she kept her word. Witnesses claim to have seen her riding across the night sky, above the castle, cloaked in a dark green hooded gown, her form silhouetted briefly against cloud and moon before vanishing. Skeptics suggest that the castle's dramatic setting encourages imagination. Shadows stretch unnaturally along the cliffs. Sea mist distorts light. Wind carries sound in unpredictable ways. These explanations are reasonable, and the castle itself makes no claims regarding the stories. Yet those who spend time here often remark on a persistent sense of watchfulness, as though the castle is alert to changes both within its walls and beyond them. The atmosphere feels less hostile than attentive, less threatening than anticipatory. St. Donat's Castle remains a place of history learning and preservation. By day, it is admired for its beauty and strength, but when night settles over the channel and the sky darkens above the towers, the old belief lingers quietly. Some places do not simply endure history, they seem to sense what is coming. And as we leave St. Donat's behind, the road ahead leads us toward a quieter building by the sea, where love, betrayal, and violence are said to have left a far more personal mark. The Captain's Wife. Overlooking the quiet shoreline at Swanbridge, the building, now known as the Captain's Wife, sits with an air of calm respectability. By day, it offers food and sea views. By night, it is said to remember a story shaped by love, betrayal, and violence, one that has refused to loosen its hold on the walls. According to long-held local tradition, the name of the restaurant is not symbolic, but literal. The woman at the center of the tale was once deeply in love with Captain Winstanley, a seafarer whose absences were as long as they were dangerous. Her father, disapproving of the match, is said to have arranged a solution both practical and cruel. While the captain was sent on an extended voyage to Jamaica, the woman was married off to Colonel Rees, a man of status, but not affection. When Captain Winstanley eventually returned, the truth was revealed. A secret meeting was arranged between the former lovers, but the plan unraveled. Colonel Rees discovered the betrayal, and a confrontation followed. According to the story, the two men fought with swords. Rees was killed, and his body concealed in haste, hidden within the house they all had shared. What followed is told in different ways. One version claims the captain and his lover fled together, taking to the sea in desperation, only to be killed during a mutiny. Another darker account suggests that when the captain's wife later died, he kept her body sealed in a box mistaken by thieves for treasure and stolen away, her remains lost forever. Whichever version is believed, the aftermath is consistent. The woman is said to have returned. Witnesses over the years describe a female figure appearing within the building, dressed either in black or white, her presence quiet but unmistakable. She is often seen standing still, as though waiting or moving slowly through rooms she once knew. There are no reports of shouting or violent disturbance. Instead, the atmosphere shifts subtly when she appears. The air feels heavier. Sounds seem distant. Those who encounter her often realize only afterward that they have been standing in silence. Skeptics suggest the power of storytelling is responsible. Coastal buildings creak. Light reflects strangely from water at night. Expectation fills in detail. These explanations are reasonable, and the restaurant itself makes no claim regarding the legend. Yet the persistence of the story, repeated quietly across generations, has given the place a weight that cannot easily be dismissed. The captain's wife remains open, welcoming, and composed. But when evening falls and the sea darkens beyond the windows, some believe that a woman still walks these rooms, bound not to the living, but to a choice that cost everyone involved their future. And as we leave the shoreline behind, our path leads inland to ruined stone, where a guardian in white is said to defend her treasure with unforgiving resolve. Ogmore Castle. Standing beside the slow-moving river, Ogmore Castle appears peaceful. In ruin, its stone towers softened by grass and weather. Yet local legend insists that this quiet facade conceals one of the Vale of Glamorgan's most dangerous supernatural guardians. The most enduring figure associated with Ogmore Castle is known simply as the White Lady. She is said to haunt the remains of the fortress, appearing most often near one of the towers. According to folklore, she stands watch over a hoard of gold coins buried deep beneath the stone, hidden long ago and never reclaimed by the living. Unlike many ghostly figures, the White Lady is not described as mournful or passive. Her presence is said to carry authority, even warning. One legend tells of a treasure hunter who encountered her while searching the ruins. Rather than driving him away, she allegedly agreed to reveal the location of the gold, but on one condition. He was permitted to take only half. The man agreed, retrieved part of the treasure, and left unharmed. But greed, the story continues, overcame caution. He returned later, intent on claiming what remained. This time, the White Lady did not negotiate. Witnesses say she attacked him with talon-like fingernails, tearing into his flesh, before reclaiming the gold. The man, left gravely wounded, later died from his injuries. Her appearances are not limited to the castle grounds alone. Drivers on the nearby road have reported seeing a white figure suddenly appear in front of them, causing them to swerve violently to avoid collision. In several accounts, the figure vanished instantly, leaving the driver shaken but unharmed. Ogmore Castle is also linked to a second, more unusual apparition. A spectral coach, drawn by 4 horses, has been reported near the river ford beside the castle. According to legend, during a violent storm, a coach attempting to cross the water was swept away and lost to the sea. Since then, the ghostly carriage is said to reappear during periods of heavy rain, moving silently through the shallow water before fading from sight. Skeptics argue that mist rising from the river, combined with headlights and shadow, can easily create the illusion of movement. Ruins, after all, invite imagination, particularly when paired with dramatic stories passed down through generations. Yet even visitors unfamiliar with the legends often remark on a distinct unease at Ogmore, especially as daylight fades. The ruins feel watchful rather than abandoned, as though something remains alert to intrusion. Ogmore Castle is open to the elements, and the public its stones freely accessible. But according to local belief, not everything here welcomes attention. And as we step away from the river and its guarded treasure, we turn toward a far more modern institution, where corridors of care are said to hold memories that refuse to remain silent. University Hospital Llandough. Rising above the coastline near Penarth University Hospital, Llandough is a place defined by care routine and constant movement. Built in the 1930s, it lacks the medieval age often associated with haunted sites. Yet despite its relatively modern origins, the hospital has developed a quiet and persistent reputation of its own. The most frequently reported figure is that of a young girl believed to be around 15 or 16 years old. She is described as having shoulder-length brown hair and wearing plain, light-colored clothing. Sightings usually place her in an upstairs ward, where she is seen standing silently or moving slowly along corridors before disappearing without sound. Those who claim to have seen her often remark on how real she appeared at first glance. There is no distortion, no dramatic entrance. Only after a moment does something feel wrong, prompting a second look that reveals nothing at all. The experience is brief, but deeply unsettling, particularly in a place where presence and absence carry such weight. Adding further mystery are reports of nurses in Victorian-style uniforms. This detail has puzzled many, as the hospital was constructed long after such attire fell out of use. The figures are described as calm and purposeful, moving with quiet confidence as though attending duties no longer required. They do not speak, nor do they acknowledge those who see them. Alongside these apparitions, staff have spoken of sudden drops in temperature confined to specific areas, as well as an unexplained stillness that settles without warning. Corridors that moments before felt busy and alive can become strangely muted, as though sound itself has been withdrawn. Skeptics point out that hospitals are environments charged with emotion. Long hours, fatigue, and heightened awareness can influence perception. Lighting changes constantly. Reflections and shadows can mislead even trained eyes. These explanations are reasonable, and no official recognition is given to the stories. Yet what troubles many staff is the consistency. The same descriptions recur across years and departments. The same locations are mentioned repeatedly, and those who experience these moments often emphasize how grounded they felt at the time, not dreamlike or imagined. University Hospital Llandough continues its essential work focused entirely on the living. Its corridors remain busy, its wards carefully monitored. Nothing within its walls invites belief. But when night settles and movement slows, some believe the hospital remembers those who passed through it too quietly, leaving behind impressions that still walk its halls. And as we leave this place of healing and loss behind, our journey leads us next to a peaceful stretch of coastline where beauty and folklore meet, and something far older is said to move without sound. Cold Knap. Stretching along the coastline at Barry Cold Knap is often described as one of the Vale of Glamorgan's most peaceful seaside locations. Its curved bay of pebbles, harp-shaped lake, and traces of Roman history give it an air of quiet continuity. Yet beneath this calm exterior, a far older and far stranger legend continues to surface. The phenomenon most closely associated with Cold Knap is not human, but animal in form. For decades, witnesses have spoken of a large black dog seen moving along the shoreline, particularly at night. Unlike ordinary animals, this creature is described as completely silent. It crosses loose pebbles without sound, its movements smooth and effortless, as though unaffected by the uneven ground. Those who claim to have seen it often emphasize how unnatural its motion appears. The dog does not run, nor does it walk in the familiar rhythm of a living animal. Instead, it glides low to the ground, maintaining a steady pace that feels deliberate rather than hurried. Its shape is clear, yet its presence seems strangely detached from the physical world. One of the most unsettling details involves the reaction of real animals. Dogs being walked nearby reportedly show no response at all. They do not bark strain at their leads, or even glance toward the black shape, despite it passing within visible distance. Owners often become aware of the figure only after noticing their pet's complete indifference. A particularly well-known account dates to a winter night in the late 1990s, when a witness sitting alone on the beach observed the black dog moving silently across the stones some distance away. Many years later, the same individual reported returning to the area near midnight and experiencing something even stranger. A dark cloud-like form was said to gather briefly around their feet before dispersing without sound or movement. Skeptics suggest misidentification, shadows, or low light playing tricks on the eye. Coastal fog can distort perception, and the sound of waves may mask movement. These explanations are reasonable, especially in an exposed environment shaped by weather and darkness. Yet the consistency of the accounts, particularly the emphasis on silence and smooth motion, has ensured the legend endures. There are no stories of threat or pursuit here. The black dog does not approach, nor does it react. It simply moves through the space, uninterested in being noticed. Cold Knap remains a place of recreation and beauty by day. Families walk the paths. The water reflects the sky. Nothing suggests unease. But when night falls and the shoreline empties, some believe something still walks there, leaving no tracks, making no sound, and passing through as effortlessly as memory itself. And as we leave the coast behind, our journey leads next to a formal garden and grand house where a naval figure is said to wander among flowers and cellars alike. Dyffryn Gardens, set within carefully planned parkland near St. Nicholas Dyffryn Gardens, presents an image of elegance, order, and balance. Its formal lawns, flower beds, and sweeping views suggest calm control over nature. Yet behind this cultivated beauty lies a quieter story, one that moves between garden paths and shadowed cellars with equal familiarity. The figure most often associated with Dyffryn Gardens is Sir Thomas Button, a naval admiral from the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Button was a seasoned seafarer known for his voyages and service to the crown. According to local tradition, his attachment to Dyffryn did not end with his death. Witnesses over the years have reported seeing a male figure moving through the gardens, particularly during the early evening or at dusk. He is described as dressed in period clothing, his presence calm and deliberate, as though inspecting the grounds rather than wandering aimlessly. Those who encounter him often assume at first that he is a historical interpreter, only realizing something is wrong when he vanishes without sound. The gardens themselves are said to feel unusually watchful at times. Footsteps have been heard, following visitors along gravel paths, stopping when they stop. Some report a sudden stillness, as though birdsong and wind have momentarily withdrawn, leaving the space feeling suspended. Below the house, in the cellars, the atmosphere is said to change noticeably. Sir Thomas is believed to appear most often, near the area once used to store ale and supplies. Witnesses describe a stronger sense of presence here, accompanied by abrupt drops in temperature and the impression of being closely observed. No figure is always seen, but the awareness is described as immediate and difficult to ignore. Unlike many haunted sites, Dyffryn Gardens carries no tales of violence or unrest. There are no thrown objects, no sudden noises meant to shock. What unsettles visitors instead is the sense of order. The presence feels purposeful, almost managerial, as though the admiral continues to oversee the estate, much as he once commanded ships and men. Skeptics point to natural explanations. Old houses shift. Cellars retain cold air. Large gardens play tricks with sound and distance. These explanations are reasonable, and the estate itself makes no claim regarding the stories. Yet many who walk Dyffryn's paths alone remark on a subtle pressure to move respectfully to avoid lingering too long in certain places. The feeling is not fear, but awareness, as though someone else remains invested in the land. Dyffryn Gardens continues to welcome visitors, its beauty carefully maintained. By day, it is admired for its design and history. But when light fades and the paths empty, some believe a former admiral still walks his grounds, attentive, composed, and unwilling to relinquish command. And as we leave the gardens behind, only one location remains: a castle where a silent figure is said to follow far too closely, bringing our journey through the Vale of Glamorgan to an uneasy close. Hensol Castle, standing above the surrounding countryside near Pendoylan, Hensol Castle, carries the weight of a long and complicated past. Built as a fortified manor and later transformed through various uses, the castle has served as a seat of authority, a place of confinement, and eventually a site of hospitality. It is this layered history that many believe has left something behind. The figure most closely associated with Hensol Castle is known as the Lady in Grey. Unlike many apparitions tied to dramatic events or visible tragedy, her presence is described in far subtler terms, which makes the encounters all the more unsettling. Visitors and staff have reported seeing a woman dressed in grey clothing, most often in the area near the ladies' toilets. She is described as walking extremely close behind people, so close that her presence is first noticed not by sight, but by sensation. Several witnesses have spoken of feeling someone just over their shoulder, close enough to sense breath or movement, prompting them to step aside instinctively. When they turn to look, the corridor is empty. Those who claim to have seen her directly describe a calm, expressionless figure, her features indistinct, and her gaze unfocused, as though she is not fully engaged with the present moment. She does not speak. She does not reach out. She simply follows matching pace until the moment passes, and she is gone. The location of these sightings has added to their discomfort. Restrooms are places of vulnerability and isolation, and the repeated association of the Lady in Grey with this area has ensured the stories are shared quietly but persistently among those who work within the castle. Other disturbances are rarely mentioned. There are no reports of loud noises, no objects thrown, no dramatic displays meant to frighten. What lingers instead is the feeling of being accompanied without consent, of personal space gently but deliberately crossed. Skeptics suggest that lighting mirrors and the castle's layout could easily create such sensations. Long corridors amplify sound. Peripheral vision misleads. Expectation fills in detail where none exists. These explanations are sensible, and the castle itself makes no claims regarding the stories. Yet those who experience the sensation often emphasize how physical it feels. This is not something glimpsed at a distance. It is something felt close, immediate, and unsettlingly intimate. Hensol Castle today stands as a restored landmark, its grounds carefully maintained, its rooms repurposed for modern use. Nothing within its walls acknowledges its reputation. But as evening settles and foot traffic thins, some visitors become aware of their own footsteps echoing just a little too closely behind them. And with that final presence lingering at our backs, our journey through the most haunted places of the Vale of Glamorgan comes to an end. The locations remain exactly where they are, woven into daily life, waiting quietly for the next person to notice that they are not quite alone. As our journey through the Vale of Glamorgan draws to a close, these places remain quietly woven into everyday life. Whether legend or lingering memory, they remind us how closely the past holds on. Join creepy experience as we continue exploring where history is never entirely at rest.